Scream 7 is coming out in a little under a month when you're seeing this. It's coming out on the 26th of February. I don't know if you can tell, but I am a relatively big fan of Scream. If you couldn't tell by my general aesthetic, I enjoy it. I thought, hey, why don't I rank them? I did it for the Conjuring movies when the new one came out. I watched all the Conjuring movies in chronological order, and then I put them into which one was the best and which one was the worst. Why don't I do the same thing with Scream? It's, again, one of my guilty pleasure franchises. Again, I did it with the Conjuring franchise, I'm going to do it with the Scream franchise. I can do it with other franchises. I don't know what franchises there are that I could do. I don't have to do just horror. I was debating doing the Marvel movies, watching every single Marvel movie and ranking them in order, but there are so many Marvel movies, I may actually lose my mind before I get that video done. So I have all the Screams here, and I plan on watching them in order and then ranking them and letting you know which one's the best and which one's the worst. The way that I plan on ranking them is I plan on having how much I enjoy it personally. I will then do the story. The mystery. Am I enjoying the mystery? So I'm going to rate it on violence, because these are slasher movies. So what I will be doing for violence is anytime a character dies, I'll do a dash. If the murder is particularly gruesome, I will do 2 dashes rather than just 1 dash. I will tally up all of the violent parts, all the deaths essentially, and once I have the grand total of death, I will then halve it and have that out of 10. I'm then going to do motive. Now this won't be based on a 10-point system as such. I will rank each ghost face out of 5 for their motive, and then adding up their 2 motive points individually into 1 point to make it out of 10. This video will contain heavy spoilers for every Scream movie, so if you don't want spoilers, don't watch this video, because I plan on spoiling it from here until the end of this video. It's going to be spoilers. I'm going to spoil this film for you. There is going to be no holding back on the spoilering of these movies, because I want to talk about them and I want to rant about some of them. I'm going to go. You can watch this video. I'm going to go make myself a cup of tea. Enjoy. The movie that started it all. I don't really have anything bad to say about this, which is funny because I've just been filming one of the other movie parts and I had a lot of bad things to say about that one throughout this video. I will be saying the positives that I enjoyed about this movie and then the negatives that I enjoyed about this movie. The positives about this movie is literally everything. I love this movie with a burning passion. I really enjoy the cast of this film. I love Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich. I really like the girl who plays Sidney Prescott. I really like the actor who plays Dewey. I really like Courtney Cox, who plays Gail Weathers. There is a lot of, it's not just these are the characters, this is what you are told that you should feel about them. I enjoy the dynamics that these characters have with each other, and that it makes it feel real. It makes it make sense with how they act around each other, how they are with each other. I don't even know how to describe it to you as to why I enjoy this movie so much. I just do. However, if you have seen the first Scary Movie, you have pretty much watched this whole movie, pretty much word for word. Yes, it's a good film, but the tone of it isn't overly serious. It is in a sense of the fact that people are getting killed, but it's not in a sense of, you're not quite on the edge of your seat as you are if you watch things like Hostel or something. It's self-aware of the fact that it knows that it is a slasher movie, and I respect that. I respect that it knows that it's a slasher and it goes into the details of what a slasher movie is. When I went into it, where this movie has been talked about so much and where it has been parodied so much, I essentially knew who the murderers were the first time I watched it without guessing, which kind of sucks, I'm not gonna lie. Like, at the moment, even the shirt that I'm wearing has the murderers on it as them being the murderers, and I think that is sad if you were watching this movie for the first time because you know who the murderers are. You don't have that funness of trying to figure out who they are. If you couldn't tell, I really enjoy this movie, so I've given it a 10 out of 10 for my personal enjoyment of this movie. It's so iconic in media and the horror franchise that I have given it a 9 because of the iconicness of it. The mystery, if you're a horror fan, you'll probably know who has done this crime. Even if you've never watched this movie, you probably know who the murderer is. So because of that, I've given it an 8. The violence for a murderous whodunit is not actually that violent. The first 2 deaths are probably the most graphic, and they are very graphic deaths, but then the deaths as such are tamer after that, I would say, personally. I might just be desensitized to violent deaths. Yeah, I've given it a 5.5. The motive, I enjoy the motive of this movie. I've given it an 8 because I think Billy Loomis's motive is very good. And then essentially he just went and found someone and was like, hey, you want to do this with me? And he went, yeah, sure, why not? Now that's out of the way, let us get on to the second movie, shall we? Scream 2, the sequel to Scream 1, obviously. I enjoy Scream 2. I think Scream 2 has a good storyline. I think for a second movie, Scream 2 is very good. I don't care what they say in the movie itself. Sequels don't tend to be as good as the original, and this one is the case. However, they have done a good job of making a good movie that happens to be the second one of a very good movie, if that makes sense. I personally think that the characters aren't as good. The whole time we're following around all of these different characters, and there is a news reporter, and the news reporter keeps pestering Gail Weathers, and at the end, news reporter turns out to be the murderer, comes out, Sidney Prescott sees her and goes, you're Billy's mum, because she recognises her. And when you rewatch it, you realise that Sidney and Mrs. Loomis never interact. She is purposely making sure that she doesn't bump into her deceased son's ex-girlfriend ever. And I really enjoy that detail. I think that is wonderful because that makes sense. Yeah, she would know exactly what his mum looks like. They've dated for goodness knows how long. They've dated at least a year. I'm pretty sure they dated longer than that based on context clues of the first one. We have Cotton Weary, who is the supposed killer of Mrs. Prescott from the first one. I enjoy the fact that he is here because I 100% thought that he was going to be the murderer in this one. I really enjoyed the fact that he was in this one. I thought it added more depth to the story. It kind of brought in the previous one more from having him, and the fact that he wants to do an interview with Sidney, all of that. I enjoyed that. I don't enjoy certain aspects of the movie, but that is a personal preference. I don't think that they're necessarily bad parts. I just wish they didn't exist because they personally ruin the experience for me. Him singing a song in the cafeteria, yeah, ha 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 ha, it's funny. That's what you see in a rom-com, that's not what you see in a slasher. The fact that she's in, like, drama club, so I get that she's meant to have hobbies, I just wish it wasn't drama club, basically. And that is coming from a previously drama kid. So there are just small aspects like that aren't actually anything wrong with the storyline. They just bug me on a personal level. First movie, we get told that Billy Loomis's mum left him completely. That is the whole reason he murdered Sydney's mum. That's the whole reason he is going on a murder rampage, because his mum left. Logical, like that plot point in the first one. The mother that left her son is now going on a murder rampage because the son is dead. Now, I am not a parent. I'm not. I've never had the experience of parenthood. In my head, if I had left my child, I decided to leave my child, my husband was having an affair, and I didn't take my child with me, instead I left the child with my cheating partner, why would I care so much that I would enact murder to get revenge for the child that I abandoned? And again, this is coming from the viewpoint of someone who has not had children. I do not have children. I do not know what it's like to have children. But it seems illogical. It would make more sense if it was the dad. That would make more sense. That would make a lot more sense. It doesn't make sense it being the mum. But other than that, it's a good story. It's got logic behind it. They've obviously thought through most of the plot points. They've obviously thought through them, which I've got the hiccups, which I respect. So I have given this movie a 7 for enjoyability. Story, I have given it an 8. The mystery, rewatching it, knowing who the murderers are, you can figure out who they are. It's not suddenly sprung upon you. So I've given it an 8. Violence, I've given it a 6.5. The motive, I do think revenge is a good motive for this movie. The trial, though, is stupid and I don't like it. So I've given him a 2, and then I've given Mrs. Loomis a 4, making it a 6 in total. Let's go on to the next movie, shall we? 3, the worst one. Spoiler. Future me can tell you about that and why I don't like it. It's got plot twists in that make no sense. Fake deaths, which I hate. I'm not particularly one to nitpick with acting. I notice if you're a good actor, but I don't care if you're a bad actor, so long as you're able to portray the emotion that you're meant to be feeling. I genuinely do not mind. The dialogue in this movie is dreadful. And I don't know how they've managed to make it that bad. The storyline is alright. It's based on the set of Stab 3 or something, which is fun. It's cool that they have a different set. It's cool that they have the set piece from the original so that they can film a movie in the house that the events actually took place in. There's a couple of deaths in it that I enjoy. Going into the house, and then they come out the house, and then it's I'll give mercy, or whatever it is, I will give mercy to whoever smells the gas. That's fun, because then the house explodes, and I love a good explosion. I have a problem with the fact that it treats the audience as dumb. This is the third movie. We know what's happening. You don't need to explain the ins and outs of a Scream movie. We're watching the Scream movies. We know what the deal is with a Scream movie. You don't need to explain this to us. I don't particularly have a lot of positive things to say. I don't enjoy the fact that Sidney Prescott is hallucinating. I enjoy the fact that it ties into the negative impact that all of these have had on Sidney Prescott, and I enjoy the fact that it has had a negative effect on her mental health from the past movie and this movie, and it's making her seeing things and question her own reality. I do enjoy that. enjoy the fact she keeps seeing her dead mother everywhere when that's not relevant. Why is she not seeing her dead boyfriend everywhere? That would be funner. Maybe the wrong terminology. But why is she seeing her dead mum? Why is she not seeing the people that make more sense in a Scream movie? I think this is a very stupid mystery. The fact that it turns out that it was her long-lost brother or something idiotic. Why does she need to have a long-lost brother? I don't like this movie, can you tell? I want to like it more than I do. I enjoy the fact that Gale Weathers teams up with the actress who was playing Gale Weathers in the Stab movies. The whole premise of Ghostface is that there are two murderers consistently. There's one guy doing it all. When looking at the making of it and all of that, it makes sense because it came out at the time that Columbine happened. From my understanding, they wanted the go-ahead of the movie, but they didn't want to promote violence, so they made it, and they didn't want to seem like they were glorifying or romanticising death, so they made it different to the real-life event, which I do respect them for. It just kind of sucks in a Scream franchise, but I do respect their decision to make it only one rather than two. Automatically you have it that there's only one murderer, and then he has a fake death. I don't like fake death. Why are you killing off the only suspect? Tell you what, if you want to watch this movie, there is one character, and I can't remember his name, but he plays the actor who plays Randy in the Stab movies. He is wonderful. He comes out with some great one-liners. He made me chuckle quite a few times, which I appreciated in this god-awful movie. I gave it a 5. It would have been higher if it was a good movie. Certain aspects of the story that don't make sense thematically. They don't make sense in the movie that is being portrayed to me, and that bugs me. I gave it a 6. Basically, there's one person and they kill him off, but he's somehow still doing everything on his own. It doesn't make sense. It's not a good mystery, because why would you think a dead guy did it? Because of this, I also gave it a 6. The violence, it's not very violent either. It's the least violent movie. I gave it a 5. And for motive, where there's only one murderer, means that it can only go up to 5. So he has a 3. With all that being said, let's go on to number 4. I'm going to stop swaying. Scream 4 is good. I enjoy Scream 4. We've had a steady decline of how good these movies are. Scream 1 being brilliant, Scream 2 being a good sequel, and Scream 3 being bad, in my personal opinion. Scream 4 is a nice breakaway. It shows the audience that no, the Scream franchise is back. The Scream franchise actually is good. It's got all of these different things, okay, that make a good story. It's not forgotten its roots, okay, and I like that. Storyline, plot points that make sense, and I enjoy the fact that it kind of did what 5 and 6 do, which is introduce a new group of people. The past 3 movies have all been about essentially Sydney, Dewey and Gale. It wouldn't have made sense as being in the spot of number 2. It makes sense being further down the line of a franchise rather than a sequel, the direct sequel. However, it has... I feel like this should be number 3 in terms of plot points, because it follows essentially the cousin of Sydney, and I think it's a good way to move the focus from Sydney and who Sydney hangs out with, and move the focus on other people, and in a fluid and logical way as well, because it's, oh, she's come to stay in town, oh, she has all these friends, because of course she has friends. Sydney makes sense that she doesn't have friends because they all keep getting murdered. I like the way that this storyline is. It makes sense. There is a lot of logic behind it. They've obviously thought about it, and they've thought about the cast, and they've thought about how to make a good story with new characters, how they can enter new characters and all of that. I like the motive as well behind the murder. She's sick of being not looked at properly because, but you're not Sydney. Oh, you're not Sydney. Oh, you need to do all of this. Oh, Sydney survives so much. And she's bored of that. She wants that. She doesn't see why Sydney should get all the thing when anyone can get attacked, which is what she does. I like the scene in the hospital and how they figure out that it's her, because she so nearly got away with it. She was this close to getting away with it, and I enjoy that, because normally it's we've unmasked who everyone is, oh, now they're gonna die. I enjoy the fact that she literally got taken to hospital. She is seen as the hero. There's going to be at least 2 news articles about her being the hero, even if afterwards it then gets out that she wasn't the hero. There is going to be enough information about it that she will be seen as the hero. Even if it was for a day, she got away with it. I enjoy the compilation of her looking at ways to injure herself and do it in a dramatic sense so that she can, well, look like she got attacked. In previous watchings, I enjoy this movie more than I remember. I just kind of always forget about it and forget that actually it's a pretty good watch. There's not particularly anything in it that's actively bad either. Like, I can't think of any moments that you think, oh, for goodness sake, why is that in there? You watch it and you think, yeah, that makes sense, yeah, that makes sense. I can't think of anything particularly in this movie that you think, oh, for goodness sake. Although it's good, although I don't have anything negative to say about it, I feel like it could have been better. I don't know how to say it could be improved, but I know that when I think of what movie to watch, this isn't the one that I go for. So there must be something about it that I'm not keen on, which is why I've given it a 7 of my overall enjoyability of this movie. I think it's one of the better stories. It actually makes sense. As I said previously, it's logical with the way that the characters are and the way that characters are portrayed and how we're introduced to a new group of characters. So I've given it an 8. The mystery, I've given it an 8 because I feel like you can work out who the murderers are. Considering how tame the past couple of movies have been, this one is violent. I've given it a 9. The motive, I enjoy the motive of I want fame. I've given it a 7. Let us go to number 5. If you're wondering where Ghostface is on this, he's on my back. So, I don't know if you could tell from the last clip, but the audio for this section was absolutely dreadful. So I thought I would do both of us a favour, me whilst editing this and you listening to this. I thought I would just do a voiceover, because is it annoying that my lips don't sync up with what I'm saying? Yes. Was the audio more annoying, the fact that it was so quiet? I think yes. So I'm going to also keep this short because I've already tried this and I ended up it being 8 minutes and I'm trying to get for at least under 5 minutes. So I wanted to just say that I enjoyed this movie. I enjoy the violence in this movie, which makes me sound like an absolutely dreadful human being. But I do enjoy this film and the violence in it. I enjoy the fact that no one dies at the beginning. It's very much like oh, you thought you knew Scream, you don't, and it kind of throws this new aspect at you of no, she doesn't die. I enjoy the fact that you don't know if she will die throughout this movie or not. Just because she didn't die at the beginning doesn't mean she won't die later on. However, I merely say that I like the violence. I don't think they had to kill Dewey. I think that was a bit of a dick move on their behalf. But I do get that the nature of these movies, they did have to kill one of the main characters. Speaking of, I am really happy that they had the main three in this film because I love them a lot. They are obviously the legacy characters and I thoroughly enjoy them in every Scream movie. They are the best part of any of the Scream movies. I also really enjoy all of the cast of this movie, which is always a positive. I obviously knew Jack Quaid and Jenna Ortega before this film from various things that they've been in. I enjoy, but it was nice seeing them in these roles, and it was nice seeing them work with other actors as well that I don't particularly know any of them. I know that one of them is in a movie that has heard loads of praise, but I've personally not seen it, and I think that they all did a very good job. I'm pretty sure those are the positives I have to say. I can't think of anything else that's striking me. I enjoy this movie overall. The negatives I have to say about this movie is I don't quite get why the main character is Billy Loomis's child. I get that they needed to make a new group of characters, and I think that they could have had one of the legacy characters have a kid. I just don't quite get why it had to be Billy Loomis. And I don't quite get why it had to be a love child of Billy Loomis's mistress. Like, he would have been about 16, 17 at the time, and according to all of these movies, he was sleeping with like 3 women that we know of. But baffles me. But anyway, I don't quite get that. The other thing that I don't quite get is why it had to be thrown to the audience so early on. We got told this fact 20 minutes in, and I think this kind of information would have been better slightly later on in the movie. I enjoyed the fact that we saw her hallucinating Billy Loomis, and I enjoyed the fact that we didn't have context as to why she was hallucinating Billy Loomis. I think they should have kept that hidden for a lot longer. I also don't enjoy the fact that it's essentially a carbon copy of the first one with who the murderers are, in it being the love interest and then the random girl who happens to be a friend of the main character. Having said all of that, I have given it an 8 out of my personal enjoyability. I've given it a 7 for storyline because there are a couple of bits that they don't quite sit well with me. The mystery, again, I've given a 7 because it's essentially the same as the first one when it comes down to who the actual murderers are. The violence I've given as a 9, and the motive I've given as an 8. I've given them both 4 points each because I enjoy the concept of them being die-hard fans of the Stab movies and wanting to make real content, and I think it's one of the first ones in 4 movies that it's not been a form of revenge that they have wanted to take. With all of that out the way, let's go to number 6, where I actually have slightly more decent audio, shall we? Scream 6. I personally think it has one of the better storylines. I enjoy the fact that it ties in with the 5th one because it turns out that the Ghostface is the dad of last one's Ghostface. I enjoy that. It seems more realistic. There's quite a lot of surprise I'm related to you somehow stories in this franchise, and I personally think that the police officer being the dad of the guy from the fifth one makes the most sense. I don't particularly enjoy the fact that he's also got two siblings. I don't enjoy the fact that Samantha doesn't recognise him because the parent finding out, going and getting revenge, which is fine. I think that's it makes the most sense of like the son parent. I feel like they do a similar thing in the second one. The main character didn't ever see the parent because they would recognise them, but this one, it's the chief of police. How do you not know that two of the people that you're hanging out with are his siblings? I'm really glad that this is the first movie where the police officer has been guilty, because I think the police officer makes the most sense in a Ghostface scenario, and I'm sad that it's taken them 6 movies to have the police officer be dodgy. I don't like the fact that there is a fake death. I can't pick and choose which one that I like and which one I don't. So number 3, the fake death of the murderer, makes no sense because no. The 6th one, death of the murderer, it doesn't make sense. But they've obviously thought it through enough that they have. It's this person died. Oh, but the dad's police of chief. You go in, you go, oh, they're dead. You're not going to question a grieving father. I like the fact that they thought about it, and I appreciate that for what it is. I really enjoyed the lead up to the finale, and I don't particularly like the finale as such. I enjoy it. I have a fondness of it, so I've given it an 8. The storyline, the idea of a family getting together to get revenge on the person that killed one of their family members, I like. However, again, with the random people being related to someone from a previous movie or in this movie, and again with it's literally, you look at number 1, you look at number 2, you look at number 5, you look at number 6, it's the same story. There's no originality with it, so I've given it a 7. The mystery, I've also given a 7. The violence, it's the most violent one. It's very violent. It's so violent that I actually nearly had to rethink about how I was going to rank these. I've given it a 10.5. The motive, I've given one of the 3, probably the dad, a 3. And then the influence that he has over his children, I've given them both a 2. And because of this, they get a 7 overall. Having said all of that, I think it is time that we now get to which movie came first and which movie came last. Let's rank and see how well these movies did in my very compelling and very scientifically accurate way of grading these films. Please don't hate me if I've put a movie that you hate higher than the others. If you've made it this far into this video, then you should subscribe, because you obviously enjoy my content enough that you've made it to the end of the video. And subscribing is completely free. You just need to scroll down a little bit on your laptop or on your phone or TV or whatever, and you just need to click the little red button. That's all you need to do. And then you can carry on watching, and then I can tell you how I've ranked these movies. So you should totally do that. Have you done it yet? Yeah? No? If you don't want to subscribe, at least like the video. Okay, I'm going to carry on. In 6th place, which probably not a surprise to anyone watching, Scream 3. It has 25 points. Completely shooting up from that. In 5th place, with 35.5, is Scream 2. Scream 4 and Scream 5 came in with 39 points, giving them both the 4th and 3rd places. But for the sake of this video and for how I'm going to stack them, which will make sense in a second, I'm going to place Scream 4 in 4th place and Scream 5 in 3rd place. In 2nd place, with 39.5, so it's only just beat the other ones, is Scream 6. Coming in first place, which I'm sure is not a surprise to anyone watching this movie, is Scream 1. The first Scream, the original Scream, coming in first place. Are we really surprised by the fact that that's what happened? This is how they are ranked, now that I have watched them all. Is pretty accurate of how I would have ranked them. Like, if you said to me, can you rank them in order? That is pretty much the order that I would put them in, of my favourite to least favourite, so I'm kind of glad that they are ranked that way. Please, can you subscribe? Please. This isn't me asking, this is me begging. Please subscribe so that I actually have a reason to spend 11 hours, 12 hours essentially, of my life watching horror movies. Please subscribe so that I actually have a valid reason to do that, because I will see you soon with a new video. Okay, bye.